Let's call our meeting to order, Wednesday, April 17, 2024 at 7 PM. Roll call, please.
Jeff Billings.
Here.
Betsy Straw. Here. Austin Davies.
Here.
Dan Cheek.
Here.
Owen Costanza.
Here.
Don Sattler.
Here.
Aaron Zito.
Here.
Chris Hopkins.
Stand for pledge allegiance, please. No phone participation for tonight. Do we have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
Second.
Motion by Owen, second by Dan. Any other discussion? If not, roll call. What? Yes?
Sorry, could I interrupt? I would like to just take a minute. I don't know if you guys would like I give a little thing about what I talked about Karina when I come in and go through the bills with her. Should I ask for like a few minutes to talk about it, or like I did when at the last meeting, at the prior month meeting for paying bills? So I just had a question about that, how you guys would like to, do I ask for 5 seconds?
I would think it would be completely appropriate to discuss it during the treasurer's report.
Is
Yep.
that okay? Just
Yep.
go ahead and do it as the treasurer's report? No,
what
that's
I was
fine.
thinking.
I didn't
I
know.
think so.
Is that okay? Okay, thank you.
All right. All right, so, so we got a motion by Owen and a second by Dan to approve tonight's agenda. Roll call vote barring any other, discussion. Voice vote? Okay. All right, voice vote, those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Tonight's agenda is approved. Moving on, to, do we have a motion to approve Board of Trustee meeting minutes from March 2024?
Move to approve minutes from March 2024.
A motion by Owen. Second. And a second by Dan. Yes, Austin.
I've proposed amendment to those minutes. It's just one this time. Don't
Okay.
worry.
Can we pull up the minutes here? Alrighty.
Under approval of phone participation, it says no phone participation. However, during that portion of the meeting, there was a point of order called by the village clerk. I don't think that was in order, but it was recognized, and that was to let everyone know that Mr. Costanza would not be requesting to appear electronically as he had previously for that night. I think he was on a cruise or something that wouldn't allow him to participate electronically, so I would just like the minutes to reflect the point of order and the content of that point of order raised by the village clerk.
Yeah, it was. No.
All right.
Is that a motion?
That's a motion to amend the minutes.
Motion to amend the phone participation to requested and then denied or changed. All right, we got a second?
Second.
We got a second by Betsy on that. Any other, yes, Owen?
Yeah, I was on a cruise with customers, which I attended business event things, business. The reason I requested to not participate was because where I was at, the phone reception was terrible. And I had spoken with Trustee Owens earlier that day, which the reception was terrible.
So-
Being on the other end of this meeting, I decided that I would burden the board with calling in there. That's how I wanted to reflect the minutes. But I did withdraw, participating only because the internet broke right away the next day. Early. I was there on business with customers. I didn't be able to be there.
All right, so we got a motion on the floor, and a second. Anybody else have any comment? Otherwise, we'll,
What exactly were you?
Yeah, that's what I asked. I'm confused to what was being added myself.
what was the specific change that,
I'm moving for under approval of phone participation where it says no phone participation. I'd like it to be reflected that a point of order was called by the village clerk and the content of that point of order and how it was ruled upon.
I would argue that that is accurate. There was no phone participation. That's something.
All right. We got two opinions there. Shall we just call roll call? All right. Roll call to amend the minutes as Austin Davies has requested, or not. Roll call.
Owen Costanza. Dan Cheek.
No.
Austin Davies.
Yes.
Betsy Straw.
Yes.
Jeff Goings.
No.
3 votes to 2. The motion doesn't pass. All right. So now we got a voice vote to approve the minutes as is. Those in favor of the minutes as they are?
You're calling for the vote, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because there was no other motions to amend anything. So we're calling for the voice vote to approve the motion, or to approve the minutes from March 2024 as is. Yeah, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Those against?
No.
Aye.
All right. We have 4 to 1. The motion passes, the minutes are approved from March 2024. Moving on, do we have any public comment here?
I have not.
No public comment, all right. Moving on to department reports. Item number 2, do we have an engineer report by McMahon? Chris?
May I just take a minute to add 2 quick things?
Yes.
Just an update on the Public Works building. Contractor is targeting paving of both Park Street and the Public Works building. Actually, it was going to be targeted towards next week with all the rain that we've had. I don't think they're going to be out there that week. I think it's going to be the first week of May before it's paved. But basically, everything inside the building is done. Minus the electrical panel, which we have talked about numerous times, has seen further delays. We had the contractor wired everything temporarily that they needed in order to get the building in usable condition for the public works guys. They did that at no charge to the village. So we are just still in a hurry up and wait mode for that panel to arrive. They are checking to see if the panel can ship short, meaning it may be missing a couple of parts, but overall it is usable. So more to follow on that one.
All right. I saw there were some emails with the tennis court updates too.
Yes, that's on the agenda a little bit later this evening.
No, that's right, okay.
And a little sticker shot, I'm sure all you did too.
Yes. All right. Doesn't look like David's here. So what we got in the packet was Public Works report. Moving on, Treasurer's report. Karina's not here tonight.
Back to the public works thing.
Yes.
Taking the last meeting and tonight, there are no public works trucks here. I assume that public works is fully at the public works building.
Correct.
Are you going to plan any type of open house or anything for the public to view, or?
Be a great idea.
Just so I could interject on that, I don't think we should do that until the lot is paid, the landscaping's in. There's trip hazards and stuff like that there yet, so.
Okay,
But,
but
you know,
the trucks weren't here and nobody said anything, so I assume the operations have moved there, but it wasn't brought to us about it, so.
It's a good idea to wait as well till everything's done. Then we'll have an open
I
house.
honestly haven't been over there in a month, so.
Right. It looks nice. It's nice.
The trucks weren't here, so I assumed everything was moved, but nothing was communicated.
Right.
All right.
Okay, so I'm gonna speak on Karina's, I'll do my little thing here. I do have my sheet that I was here last month with her, went through the bills. Excuse me, I don't know if you guys can see these or not, but I went through some, like, I have a question for David. I'm gonna reach out to him about pest control for Public Works. I asked the question how often this was for the 457, and I was told this was monthly. I'm on check register. This is where I put my notes and ask questions about. I I think Betsy has it, I mean, should have it, it was sent out to everybody. Couple things that I had questions about was, just so you have an idea, there was a $9,000 bill for, that's the, compressor air dryer that was installed that we had discussion a few months ago about. That was done, it looks real nice, the lifts are in, everything like that. The garage cabinet, I asked him about that, he went through, Home Depot for that. At the time, when I went down there, it wasn't there, but it was purchased, it was getting shipped. It's a cabinet to lock up, things in the shop, which is a good investment. And then, went through, Johnson Tractors, was like $1,800. Larson, those are for the Public Works building, that was a big payment. I asked about what exactly McMahon's was, there was a $12,000, that's airport and Public Works building. So it's not just one, they were broken into separate, and they're put together here. Nicor gas is like monthly, that's down in the, South Plant. I just questioned because it's warming up. Then I looked at legal, I asked questions about that, got some background on that. And also, I looked at Public Works fuel, that's a monthly, that's J&D if you see that. And then the two big ones was the bonds, the 160, the 2012 B bond and the 2015 B, principal bond. Those are huge, just so you know what those are for, if there's any questions. Anytime I can't answer something, I'm gonna ask to hold it over till I can get an answer from Karina. Because like I said, I'm getting more into this, I'm actually enjoying it. So Betsy, I seen Katie sent out to you, I apologize, I've been real busy. I wanted to get back to you, and I didn't wanna bother Karina, cause I'm sure she was gonna report in, check in. So Katie, hopefully she answered your questions. Katie sent you an email today?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if those are answers to your questions, but if not,
I still have one more question, but we can talk about that later.
okay, and then just when you get a chance, first thing when Karina comes back,
Right.
just meet up with her and she's gonna answer a lot of questions for you, I'm sure. And, that's it. One more thing I like to do, this is gonna pertain to the treasurer's report eventually. I met with Christy, I sent you guys an email, I met with Christy Richardson Saturday afternoon. We met for about an hour and a half down at the Veterans Park, Millennial Park. We talked about some things, I have a list here. I'm gonna give this to David, and I wanna go through it with him before I type everything up, sent to you. Cause some of the stuff we can do in, the one thing that I know we wouldn't be able to do is to get a sign put down there, which I think is a great idea. She had a lot of good ideas. A lot of it is just kinda like paint, majority of it is paint to make the area pop a little bit, which would be nice, cause, you know, she talked about moving the, statue that's there with the time capsule in it, that's kind of out, yeah, it's been there. But, I also, like the gazebo down there, 2013 it was put in. It hasn't been anything really done to it, so like, it does need a good power washing, some paint, fresh paint on it. I think that would help protect the wood too, so we prevent any rotting, stuff like that. But I had a real good time with Christy, she's doing good, she has a lot of good ideas. Once I go through this with David, see what he can do in-house, anything that would cost, anything major that he couldn't have in his budget, I'll bring to you in an email. So I would say hopefully by the next meeting, I'll have this ready for you. I will meet with David on my next chance that I get from work, and then I'll put an email of anything, cause I know a sign's gonna cost. She had a good idea about the sign matching like our entrance signs coming into our village, something like that, where it would face, and then, I think it'd be a good idea. She also would like to have seen, my idea too, with her was to move the one evergreen, but I think it's too big of a project, I don't think it's necessary to open up that there in front of the pavilion, because the pavilion's kinda hidden. I did also ask David, I did reach out to him, ask him to put another garbage can down there, cause there was only one under the pavilion. So we'll have one, I asked him to put one over by the gazebo as well, because the coffee shop's right there, and people sit there, the gazebo's there, there's picnic tables there. So it'd be good to have 2 garbage cans. I also make sure that we have them Mansfield Park, Sherman Park, at least 2, just so we don't have stuff blowing around. Because I went down to Mansfield Park, Sherman Park, I picked up garbage myself, and at the time there was none there, so I actually had like a Walmart bag or whatever it was in my car, and I put it there and I disposed of it myself. But just give you guys a heads up of what I'm working on and what I'm doing with Trustee, and I wanna see some of it too, because she has some good ideas that would really make that pop down there and make it look nice. So,
I had one question
Go
for
ahead.
you. The compressor, that's what we talked about, that you had a
Yes.
couple of quotes, was that a month ago or 2 months ago?
2
we
months
talked about it? And,
all the airlines.
and the furniture, did you see furniture? Did you talk about that one?
Yes, he went to a used furniture place and bought, when you go into Public Works, you'll see the chairs and the table, it's like a small conference table. Smaller one than what we have here.
Yeah.
There's chairs there, he bought that at a used furniture place, but for the office, he found a better deal for new stuff, for the office, for his office, and, the office where the guys will have computer access. IT is down there, they did have computers and, sort of protection down there, so they can do all their stuff down there to like search properties, stuff like that. So there is computers in, the small room when you walk in to the front of the building, and David's office is directly across. So he got used furniture in for his office, but he did get some off of, Amazon and had it delivered, and it's all put up. Except I think the 2 chairs for the 2 office areas, they were waiting on those. He had a cubicle type setup, a desk.
Kinda like what we got.
Yeah, kinda like here, but they were leaving this here. So I was like, well, why don't we take it down there? I did go down there and I looked, and they did build, they took the, uniform stuff to hang their stuff, the cubbies that were back here, they moved those and put them down there. So we did save money on lockers, which I didn't feel was necessary. So he utilized the wood that was here, they took it apart, put it back up down there, it looks nice. If you get a minute, go down there, if you have time, and look at everything. Everything's brand new, so how could it not be nice?
Yeah.
We're planning for the future, it's a lot of money. I mean, stuff wasn't cheap. So, but yeah, definitely take time, go down there and see it,
All right.
for sure.
Sounds good.
That's it for me, thank you for your time.
Anybody have any other questions?
Yeah, that's, this typo, I'm just not understanding what doubtful is.
Yeah, doubtful account.
What is that? I don't know what that is.
A doubtful account is, money that you don't expect to get. So you usually have a percentage of doubtful accounts that you don't expect that you're going to receive, so you should take that out of your receivables.
Oh, like
That's
a
a
write-off,
typical.
like a write-off?
For water,
Exactly.
yeah, we can't write those off.
You
Water
have to
account,
write off, you have to-
unpaid,
We do that.
Taxes, there would be some taxes or water accounts, and that's what I was asking about, trying to understand that process.
Well, property taxes are guaranteed because,
They sell them.
yeah,
Right.
so those, we never lose it. But water billing accounts, we would write those off, and those
As a
come to us
board.
from time to time. But we put things like on property, don't really entirely write them off.
I don't think we entirely write them off
We write them off by ordinance,
by ordinance.
Okay.
and sometimes we get
It's
them.
been rare.
Yeah, how often does that happen?
I think we've done 2 ordinances in the 7 years I've been here.
Yeah, as I say,
I didn't know what that was.
Yeah, allowance for doubtful accounts is a normal thing. Yeah.
yeah, okay, cool.
We didn't know what that term was, that's all. Didn't know if it was typo.
All right. Wastewater test report, Ryan's not here. I don't know if,
I have a question on this real quick. Would you like, anytime you guys would like to have him come, just, I can reach out to Chris from Test and say, hey, can we have a representative at any meeting?
yeah, he used to come from time to time.
He does, he's been real busy, they got a lot going on, I know. So, I did speak to him about a week ago.
Yeah,
Cause when I was off, I went down and I met one of the new employees that was there. I walked around, I looked at shop, or the North Plant. They do a nice job for us. They really do.
yeah.
But anytime you want someone here, give me a notice and or you could reach out to Chris too, I'm sure. But if you'd like someone here to answer any questions, but there hasn't been anything major. Cause I always check with David too, have we had major things going on? I never hear nothing from Tess, so now everything's going smooth.
Yeah, no VFDs break down or anything recently, so. Okay,
Cool,
sounds good.
thank you.
Any other discussion on wastewater? Moving on to unfinished business, item number 6. Do we got a motion to discuss and approve ordinance 2024-08, a supplemental appropriation ordinance of the Village of Poplar Grove, Illinois for the fiscal year beginning May 1, 2023 and ending April 30, 2024. Got a motion by Owen,
Second.
and a second by Dan. And I believe we had a copy of that in here.
I have it here if anyone needs to look at it.
And what was this, the $500,000 that we
Correct.
saw that was to be added?
It's moved over from the previous year that we do every year. Exhibit A and the ordinance is right here.
Yeah, I'll rotate.
If anybody needs to see it, I got a copy here.
Yeah. No, the only question I had was, it's all gonna go into capital improvement fund?
Carrie,
I believe we put
She's-
that in there and then we reappropriate
at the budget, we haven't had a budget,
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
so once we do the budget, then that money will be divided and be appropriated to each fund that's necessary.
Okay, yes.
So, right, so at the end of the year, a lot of times communities will have a situation where either more money came in than they expected, you know, whether it's sales tax was great that year, you know, because at the beginning of the year when you do your appropriations, you kind of have a plug number. You don't know, you think you're gonna get this much in, and sometimes you get lucky and you actually get more in from property taxes, MFT, sales tax, whatever it is. So you end up with this extra money, but at the beginning of the year, you didn't appropriate it. Until you appropriate it, you can't spend it.
Right.
So at the end of the year, you do the supplemental appropriations to say, hey, I got extra money found, I wanna be able to spend it, not saying how you get, but I just gotta appropriate it. So you appropriate it, in this particular case, I think Karina's recommending that it be stuck into capital improvement, but then once it's appropriated, it can be spent. Now, once you guys do your budget, for, now it's in the pot that can be spent, now you guys can choose to allocate it wherever you wanna stick it. You don't have to keep it in capital improvements, there, so. If the money was coming from motor fuel, yes. There, I guess, we just use that example, yeah, but, yeah.
Just trying to understand.
Yeah, so let's say it was more motor fuel, then you'd still have to appropriate it to be used on motor fuel qualifying stuff. But if it was property taxes or sales tax, then it'd just be, yeah.
All right. Sounds good, so if I recall, 8 and 9 go together.
Right, but, and
Yeah.
she pointed out some here of where some of the money's coming from. That was from increased interest income, excavator sale proceeds, GMC insurance, general coverage insurance proceeds, building note interest, comprehensive report, and then Ram truck, some of the expense accounts. In your exhibit A that came with the ordinance last
Yeah.
week, just so you know.
Alrighty. Sounds good. All right, is there any other discussion? All right, you got a motion to approve, I guess, we got a roll call now, right? To approve. All right, roll call on ordinance 2024-08 for approval.
Betsy Straw,
Yes.
Dan Chi,
Yes.
Jeff Goings,
Yes.
Austin Davies, Owen Costanza.
Ordinance 2024-08 passes. Moving on to item number 7, which dovetails off of item number 6. Do we have a motion to discuss and approve ordinance 2024-09? An ordinance all right, which is an ordinance transferring the appropriated fund balance to establish corporate objects and purposes. So we got a motion by Jeff and a second by Owen. So this is just the
Now that you appropriated it in the prior one, now you're physically shifting it to an account. And then it'll sit there until you guys decide what to do with it.
So our budget.
All right. So move from general fund to capital improvement fund for the time being. All right. Any further discussion or questions? All right, roll call.
Dan Cheek,
Yes.
Austin Davies.
Yes.
Owen Costanza. Betsy Straw.
Yes.
Jeff Goings.
Yes.
Ordinance 2024-09 passes. Moving on to item number 8, do we have a motion to discuss third-party water meters and water sewer credits, processes, and procedures?
To discuss third-party water meters, water sewer credit process.
Got a motion by Owen,
Second.
and a second by Dan. This, I believe, is a pickup of where we left off. I believe that was a month ago. Yes.
So this was picked up from the pacemaker, matter, there, and so Austin had asked for some additional information. That's just kind of background information, like, well, how does our, ordinance currently work with regards to water meters and testing and stuff like that, and then what are the pros and cons of potentially a third-party meter, wanting this information so that he could make, for the whole board, so that he can make an informed decision about, hey, well, do we want to allow for pacemaker to use a third part, their meter, which would be a third-party meter, and stuff like that. So, I sent a memo out to everybody, that are kind of outlining what the questions were and then what the answers to those were. Actually, I won't read the memo to everybody, there, but, it goes through, these, examples from other, what our code says with regards to how do we, people get credits for pool, what that process is, where it is in the code. It goes through what our process is if someone has a dispute about their meter and think that their meter might be off, and the fact that it gets tested, then it gets removed and sent out for testing, and to the extent it's found to be defective, then, a credit's given, so it kind of goes through that process, and then the memo outlines then what my office's experience has been with regards to the use of third-party meters, non-village meters in other communities, and then what do those other communities do in a situation of, well, a secondary meter, there, and so it kind of just provides examples, again, just what's right for those communities, not saying that the village, Proper Grove has to do it, it's just giving examples of what other communities do.
Yes, Austin.
Attorney Zito, if I could ask a question. Any ordinance that you would draft to allow for this, it would have to be applicable to all similarly situated businesses? Is that right? Or could we carve something out just for pacemaker?
I don't think I would necessarily carve it out that way, there you might want to, say that you could, this applies to, people that, entities or users of water that, maybe you set a criteria, a threshold of like so many gallons that are going to be, utilized but not go into the sewer necessarily, or something, some concept like that. And maybe you just say, okay, with regards to commercial users, maybe it's only applicable to commercial users, and then you have to do so many gallons, like that doesn't go into the drain, or something like that, and then by virtue of that, it would apply to anyone who meets those criteria uniformly, but the probably reality is it's mostly, groceries, places that, places that let you fill up, jugs of drinking water, so.
Yes, Owen.
Chris, in the past, Oak Lawn, they had their meter, we had that in the ordinance, because they had a discount written in the ordinance, and they had their meter, we had our meter, different meters, different average. We've used other meters in conjunction in the past, but we've had that written in the ordinance, because Oak Lawn got a discount, we were only using, they were only used to only charge them for sewer. We've changed that now, but, we have done that, that's why when I talked about
Well, here's some questions about the meter. What type of meter is it? Is it NIST certified? Is it calibrated on a regular basis? Who does the calibrating? Does the village go out there and certify all this? You know,
If you would like that information, I'm sure we could have David go over and get all that information if you make a little list for it. And then if that helps. I mean, we're getting the billing, so I'm imagining that meter that they have is inside that machine, right?
But
I don't-
the question was, have we used third-party meters?
Yeah.
How long, you know, that was complicated.
There's no meter, it's fine.
I think,
Yes, go ahead.
I think ultimately, you know, wherever your guys' discussion goes with this as to what to do, if you guys ultimately land on saying, okay, we're okay with the concept of using a third-party meter, but what are gonna be the rules and criteria then on it, you know, and if you guys have discussion, then ultimately I can then draft an ordinance that says, okay, hypothetically, in a commercial setting, here, you know, a third-party meter can be used to determine a sewer credit. If you hit certain conditions, as far as like usage, you gotta be, you know, so you gotta, you know, use so many gallons of water, you know, a month or whatever it is, that is not going into the drain. And then, along with it then, and you have to give us receipts of how much you sell so that we can double check, you know, receipts versus the meter to make sure that it's adding up, because in theory, you know, if you sold 10 gallons of water, there should have been 10 gallons of water that went through the meter there, so there could be a double check there. You have to provide us receipts of your gallon sale, and then also just, you know, the other stuff about like, and you have to provide us with, you know, how often you calibrate it, or the company calibrates it, or whatever, stuff like that. So if you guys give me examples of those things, then I can draft it, and that you guys want, then I can draft it.
All right. So, number one, important sounds receipts to match the gallons, or the meter, I should say.
Right, that's what they provided us.
Pardon?
You wanna wait for number 9?
Is this,
Yeah, we're just
there's
talking
more?
about-
Yeah.
We were just talking about having used it.
Oh, yeah, sorry, if you're gonna start talking about the
Yeah,
ordinance, yeah, technically
probably
that's
should.
number 9.
We should probably move for number 9. Anybody who doesn't
Okay.
have questions,
Yeah, I guess, because this was just discussion on
have we ever used it?
credit, you know, how does the credit process work in water meters and stuff, so.
Okay, all right. Okay, so you're saying we finished our discussion on number 8, we wanna move to number 9.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Is third-party water meters, water sewer, and then the next, I'm just looking here at the difference between the two. Discuss an ordinance for the water, okay. I suppose it doesn't, it doesn't matter.
It's all semi-related.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you wanna technically end 8 and go to 9, but,
We're gonna discuss more on 9 as well.
Ordinance water sewer credit replacement.
all right. So, we're done discussing number 8. You just made a motion to move to number 9?
As long as everybody's good.
Okay, is everybody all right with that? Okay, all right. Owen made a motion to move to number 9, a motion to discuss and approve ordinance of water sewer credit for pacemaker. Did I hear a second over here?
Sure, I'll do something.
Okay, a second from Jeff. So now we continue our discussion. And just trying to write down what we all chattered about here. I think number 1 was
Receipts.
Receipts to match
Type
the
of
meter.
meter.
So the gallons on the meter to match, similarly match the receipts of the sales.
Which they provided us at the initial.
Well, John, if I could.
Yes,
So they gave us 1 week. They said that's about average for every week.
They give us, so what was discussed?
What was, yeah, they're asking for a sewer credit on the 5-gallon jugs that they sell through the machine, which is a third party. So I had discussed that with Director Howe, who I asked how she would handle it. The options were to set up a second billing, have to read it, credit similar like we do sprinklers, which are now code in the village.
And it was like an $8,000
Yes, Betsy.
So, when we had that discussion, it was discussed, one receipt was looked at, and it was discussed that it was $60 for, he had said the receipt was for a week. There are technically 2 meters. When I looked at the email when I got home that you had sent us, there were 2 tickets in there, so there are
3,
two.
I thought.
I saw 2 in there.
Can you go back to that meeting?
I had asked the office what they want for credit.
Right, and, but they calculated it on one of those receipts, not both. And they had said that that receipt, Mr. Delfra had said it was for 1 week. So then it's way more than $60, which was quoted at that time because that was based on one receipt for 1 week. So that's what Barb had calculated.
I'm not sure.
So I think we need to revisit what actually the amount of money that we're talking about here, because I've had several people reach out to me, and I think we all got the same email from Jason, talking about, that, they can charge whatever they'd like. They can add on a fee for their sewer. Nothing's stopping them from doing that. And that, there's also bottled water that goes down the sewer that isn't, that's purchased elsewhere. So there's a lot, that's what he had sent back to me when I had responded to him. And several other people had called and said the same thing, that Pacemaker could cover their costs of that, because it is going down a sewer somewhere. I understand that he had said some was Caledonia, or some was in.
They felt most of it was handled. That's their feelings. I don't know that.
Right.
How do you?
You don't know
how do
that.
you verify?
And so I just want to make everyone aware that I'd heard from several people that they were feeling that, they could cover that cost. And I don't feel that we have the full, this one, there were two, is there 2 or is there 3 that were on
3,
here?
1, 2, 3. 3 receipts.
So there's 3 meters.
No, this is January 4th. Oh, January 4th. January 4th.
So there's 3 meters.
Thursday.
Is there 3 meters, or is there a meter or a machine number on these receipts?
Bulk reading.
Received invoice.
Invoice, driver, C-Crown, route day stop, maybe ROB, W3, OFF. Account number.
There's for sure 2 there. Because I've seen people filling them, the water thing.
Oh, there's 2 machines?
Different machines.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Okay, I
that's
didn't
what
know
I'm
that.
saying,
Yeah.
is I don't think that we have the full understanding of what this would be.
Yeah, I don't
From
pay
seeing
attention.
this, that this is just, what he had said was this was a week's worth, and that we would need to understand what a month's worth was and how many meters there are. Because when Barb was asked, we said, it's so many gallons of water, and she said that would be, $60, but that was only on one of the receipts.
So, I mean, I get it.
This one's double, this one's the same, look at the invoice number. 9651 and 965, same amount, these 2 are the same, so it's actually 2.
2, yeah, there's
Yeah.
definitely 2 there.
Yeah. And what's.
So I don't think that we had, that it was complete on what the, what we were,
Okay,
voting
so
on.
let's get the questions. Let's write the question, Don, you taking notes?
I was just jotting down,
Well, I can definitely ask for a month's worth or 6 months' worth from them. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, the base comment.
Tell them to go back a year,
the
big
base-
deal, it's 12
the-
weeks.
The basics is, are we okay with doing it or not? I mean,
well, there's,
either it's, their theory is it's not going down the sewer, a lot of it's going, their theory is a lot of it's going to Canada, a lot of it's being used for cooking, a lot of it's being used for drinking. I buy pieces of bottled water at the Sam's.
Yeah.
That doesn't go into cooking or anything, I know that it goes around, every
Goes
house.
down your sewer.
Eventually, through just a natural process.
Right,
Sure.
that's what I'm saying, I mean, that's not even
Or
accounted
outside,
for
you're
here.
behind the garage.
You know, when you throw the same concept into sprinklers.
We're
and
not
other-
taxing bottled water, and we're not taxing this, but we're trying to give them a credit. They're asking for a credit,
they're
and
asking for it.
I'm just saying, I heard from,
I emailed them, they've been busy, they've had some family issues. I didn't get
I'm all for helping our businesses whatever we can. Even if it's, I don't care if it's $100 or $500 or whatever.
One at a time, one at a time.
Yeah.
Whatever we wanna do.
Yeah, the three things I had on the list is the number one that we said, receipts and match, receipts, sales receipts to match the meter gallons.
So
And,
you wanna see a quarter? You wanna see 6 months? I can,
well,
That's fine.
Dan had a question.
Well, in relation to, you're saying eventually it's going down the sewer regardless. You're still getting that water from the flush
Right.
to go down the sewer. So even if you are using it for drinking water, and we'll keep it PG, you're still getting, it's the same kinds of, and I know people that drink nothing but pop. And they're still flushing it down the toilet, so we're still getting our sewer aspect from the water coming in to fill the toilet. So, I mean, that's kind of a moot point, I guess, because a lot of people like me, in case of water, I bring bottles of water to work with me. First thing I do when I come home, I can tell you what it is, you know? I didn't buy that water through the village, but it's going down into the sewer. So I think we're splitting hairs on that aspect that it's going into the sewer because we are still redeeming some of that because it takes water to flush a toilet. And it takes water through the water meter to flush that toilet. So, I mean, and like you said, even the Kennewick thing, and it does make a lot of sense, and that's probably their main customer, and, cause I hear their water isn't that great out there.
So why don't I make a motion to postpone this next month? And then
Yep.
what would we like to see as far as billing? A month, a quarter, or is it a year?
well, there's two more questions, about tampering, how easy is it to tamper with the numbers you get out of these machines? We have no idea.
How about this,
If it
can we
was
ask
tampering,
this?
then I would think that it would be in the favor of the company that owns it. I don't think it would be in their favor. I don't know.
Well,
But I mean, that's a,
yeah, yeah,
they're paying a third party for this.
right. Yeah, I have no idea. And then what type of certification does the company provide on their equipment? Is it?
Write that down. One of us can go over it.
I got the 3 notes here, and I can email those out.
I'll give it,
Who wants to go and who wants to handle this?
I'll take that.
I think it's better if I do it, or if Dan does it.
I have no
I
problem
don't want
with
no
that.
accusations made.
If you wish.
Is that okay? I'll go over and
Yeah,
I'll
I mean-
talk to Mr. Delpra. Hey, let me take a couple pictures so I can bring it back to the board. Can you open this machine? That's my first question. Can you access this? He says yes or no. I'll take notes and I'll report back. Is that fair? And I'll call Mr. Dan and ask him to meet me there on Saturday or Sunday.
Or you reach out to the company even.
Yeah, even better. We got their phone number on the bills, Carrie? Was
Yeah,
that in there?
there's probably some literature the company's got on that
How many
machine.
months of billings do we wanna see?
Natural.
Yes, Austin.
Pure.
I just
Yeah,
wanted to add
here's
my
the
2
number.
cents for purposes of, getting an ordinance drafted, if that's what we're gonna do. I'd feel most comfortable if we're going to allow for a third-party meter here, if we can verify the receipts, and the gallons sold and the meter, so they all match up, and we have it provided to us on a regular basis, and that any such ordinance would be narrowly, drafted to only apply perhaps to the commercial sale of potable water. So it's not just applying to, homeowners or anyone else. I think it's perfectly reasonable to apply it to everyone in a similar situation if we're gonna do that, but we can make it narrow.
And each piece of equipment or third-party meter would have to be certified by the village. We would have to approve it individually. So this one, we got these questions, we're gonna go verify, he's gonna go take pictures of it and everything. So if another person comes along and wants to do it, we'd go through the same process, if
Don,
that
what
was
was your
clear.
first one, receipts?
Receipts to match the meter, tampering, how easy it would be to tamper,
Okay.
and then NIST certification, if that's a
What
calibration.
was that? NEI,
NIST, NIST.
NIST, okay. Certification.
Or would it even be feasible to get gallons used directly from the company and just bypass the pacemaker completely?
I'm guessing,
Since it's their equipment and it's in their best interest also.
I'm
If they could
guessing,
send us an invoice of what they invoice, Countryside or pacemaker.
Yeah.
I'm guessing it's like a Bluetooth thing, like our fuel tanks. It sends a message to our fuel company when they get to a certain point. They send a truck out, they fill them. We never have to call. We never run out. I'm guessing it's something like that for them to get their meters.
It's probably an internet thing, like,
Right.
for my printers, it
Right.
automatically sends the copies to the
Right.
police and everything.
And
Yeah.
just like our loaders, if something pops up on the dash, it automatically sends a signal to CAT. CAT sends out a technician to figure out what the problem was. So I'm guessing it's something of that. So
All right.
receipts to match meter, NIST certification, and tamper proof.
And reaching out to the company.
And proof.
So I think you have a motion by Owen
What do we want to
to
read?
postpone this until.
See if they can provide us the information.
Must be answers.
Without going to-
Yeah.
I would
Can you put a
And-
date on that?
go to the second meeting next month. Is that okay?
Yep.
Give me some
That's fine
time.
with me.
Postpone the second meeting?
So,
Third, 15th?
15th?
All right. So, since this was just a motion to discuss slash approve, we don't need to
We don't need to
vote on it
approve or
anymore.
not. So
No, you need to go
A second on my motion and then a vote.
to postpone
to postpone.
to the next.
All
the
right.
Second meeting in
So, do we wanna do a voice vote to postpone it?
was there something?
Yeah.
Well,
So Owen motioned to postpone it to May 15th. Jeff seconded it.
And I'll just make one comment. before we
Yes.
go to a voice vote, on that. I'm gonna hold off on drafting
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
ordinance until,
We have the details.
yeah, because
Yep.
there's,
We don't know.
theoretically, there could be, get answers back and you guys could still, in light of that information, whatever it may be, you might say, no, not doing it. So,
All right, those in favor to postpone to May 15?
Aye.
Yes.
Those against? All right, we are postponing item number 9 to May 15. Moving on to item number 10, we got a motion to discuss and approve checks, disbursements for payments scheduled to be paid prior to April 30, 2024 in the amount of $770,000, $770,770.42 in AP checks, $17,487.41 in insurance expense checks, $24,544.53 in EFTS, and payroll with estimates included of $64,599.47 for a grand total of $877,401.83. That was a little mouthful. We got a motion to discuss.
To discuss everything John said.
All right, we got a
Second.
motion by Owen and a second by Dan.
877 for all of them.
And, was there any discussion about these? We had some discussion about this last time.
So these were the real numbers in the email you sent out?
These are it shows the estimate on what Jeff put on.
So we got estimates.
So the payroll parts are estimates.
Right.
I didn't have all those until,
Well, then she sent out, I thought that was an actual. No?
no, the payroll says there's 2 estimates in there, so, if she can just, lay it out that way for us,
We're gonna
that's
get
helpful.
this to where everything that you guys want is gonna be in the packet. So I think, like I said, once again, I think when you meet with her, Betsy,
Right,
she's gonna understand it better, exactly what you want, and then everything will be here, and then there's no more questioning, because then you'll know, and then we're gonna have you guys all explain to all of us at one time how it all works. That way, everyone's satisfied. That's the key. Work
Right.
together, satisfy everyone.
I'd like to thank Katie for sending us the hyperlinks to the credit card stuff. And eventually that'll work its way into this too, I presume.
Right.
yeah.
That'll be a monthly thing now.
Yeah. All right.
And last month, was Muni Code, correct? Why we didn't have it in our packets.
Yeah, there was an update with Municode and, as you guys saw, you saw it on my end, it
Right.
was there, but
So
We
here's
don't
a
know it
question. Would you please have either you or Katie double check it at least the night before the meeting, so we know it's there?
that is why we're trying to get everything out on Friday instead of rushing Monday anymore.
Right, I get it.
Because that's what happened is, reports didn't get in until late because staff wasn't here and
Right, let's just make sure we have a plan B, that make sure that if someone has to go online, make sure it's on the thing, so at least send out an email, hey, it's on the website, you can pick up the packet there. There was some disruptions through Unico, that's why it wasn't in your packet, so if you need to see anything, go to the website, it's there. Just make sure it's posted on the website, that way we can access it all weekend. So if someone has to look at it Saturday morning, then I'm gonna start looking to make sure it's there too. Okay? I'll start looking on Saturdays if we're gonna post on Fridays.
We're doing our best.
I know,
Sometimes
I get it,
it's,
I'm just saying, well, this way we're covered. As long as someone checks it Saturday, boom, we can get it, hey Carrie, we don't have it. And then, okay, it's on the website, so send out an email, everyone check the website. Fair?
Sounds fair.
And this is the first time that's ever happened that I can remember.
we've had this program since 2018. It's the first time.
Yeah, it's the first time I can ever
It's-
remember it happening.
It happened at my other municipality who we have Munico, or they had Munico too, and, it's something with Google and the catches and the, I'm not IT, I don't understand it, but, Munico knows of the issue and now we will make sure that we have to release our catches in Google, is what I've been told.
Thank you.
All right.
Spending money.
All right, shall we call a question? All right, roll call.
Dan Cheek.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm not organized here. Austin Davies.
Yes.
Owen Costanza. Betsy Straw.
Yes.
Jeff Goings.
Yes.
All the checks are approved in item number 10. Moving on to item number 11, we got a motion to discuss and possible approval of selection of contractors to perform tennis court restoration repairs.
Chris?
Yes, we need a motion. All right, Owen's got the motion,
Second.
and Dan's got the second, and we defer to Chris on all those wonderful quotes that we saw.
This started off as a rehabilitation effort. We contacted a number of contractors, asked them to come out, take a look at the reports, let us know their opinions. When Dave and I went out and looked at the reports, I was a bit concerned that the cracking out there that we saw, I mean, there are cracks that are literally 2.5, 3 inches wide in some places. That we may need at the end of the life of the boat, and that it would not be, it would be rehab.
questions or comments?
I find it interesting that technology's kind of been around for a while in, crack isolation for tile. It's a similar process, just not, as expensive and involved, but, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about because you do the same thing for tile. It's quite interesting that it's transferred over in other things.
Yeah, even one of Armor's website launched video, it's very cool. It's really neat, too bad we can't figure out something like this for them.
Yeah, I did. Do we have those quotes in here in the packet?
I didn't put the quotes in the packet.
Okay.
I can send them out. One of those just the email.
Yeah,
So what was the one that how much was the quote that you recommended we went with, Chris?
$50,700.
And they're all in the 50 range. What did we get donated? Anybody remember?
Question.
10,000, I think it was.
Did somebody recently
I
donate
I
money
think
for
it was,
that?
Edwards put 10,000
I
out
remember it
of
was 10
their,
or 15.
I think it was 10. Yeah, they transferred out of one of their funds to us. That was a 501. You signed that paperwork, I believe.
Yeah.
Do you recall what it said? I'm pretty sure it's 10,000.
How long ago was that?
2-3 months ago? Christie was here.
January, I think.
Yeah, it was this year, because they were doing it this year. It was a donation.
I don't know why I was thinking it was 15.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, it was this year.
Okay. I don't remember.
Is this, well, it's a lot of money. That could actually, if it's there,
Yeah.
come out of, in, it's parks.
Well,
We also have the 500,000 we just,
well, we don't know what that's
Yeah,
earmarked
we
for.
don't
Yeah,
know,
we haven't
yeah.
done our budget. Well, I mean,
We got time.
yeah, we got time. I mean, we've
Right.
still got to do the budget, so.
right.
Is there a deadline for this?
No.
Okay.
We were trying just to get something back to you guys for consideration.
Right.
What is the company's, what is their work like? I mean, we say yes today, the schedule is, they fill up this fast, it's specialized, because you never worked on this before.
They, are educating here for July.
Okay, so even if we said yes today, it's not getting done this season.
Right.
I think it would get done this season. I'll check on that when I send the quotes out. I'll just kind of give you an idea.
So, I mean, we did the budget next month, realistically could get done by the end of the summer.
All right, yes.
That's too late.
Chris,
We're
do you
not
know
done.
how long they'll hold those prices
Is
for?
what it is.
I don't know, ask that question.
Is that an asphalt product? Is that,
It's, no, it's actually.
Track fill.
It's like an emulsified acrylic.
so how flexible are those prices? Do they fluctuate a lot like asphalt or? Yeah, yeah. It's the first time you ever did one of these. How fun.
So, I have a question.
Yes.
If it's not gonna be until the end of the year, are we better off waiting until the
Next year.
next year?
Absolutely.
But if we do wait till next year, would it deteriorate more? So, I mean, do you have a feel for that?
The answer to the question is yes. I don't know. Let me ask that. because
Okay,
My own feeling is we probably wouldn't see appreciable deterioration in the way it's like that.
okay.
But let me ask that question.
So, and then financially though, I mean, even if we put it in this year's budget, next year's May 1st, so it would be done for spring, so
Right,
that would be,
you'd
yeah,
want it-
yeah,
yeah.
for spring at least, so,
Yeah, but I mean, we could get.
which
I'd
is,
say-
But if they could do it in July, if we voted it in and they said, oh, we could do it, so ask those questions of when.
Yeah, how long is the process? How long will the course be down?
Good question.
About 2 weeks, so
Okay.
pretty short.
All right. So, we will, yeah.
Yes, I'll make a motion to wait over till,
maybe June?
It was just a motion to discuss.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
possible approval, it says, okay.
yeah, possible.
Maybe June, then that next month we get the budget done?
Chris?
Yeah, I was gonna say, when is your budget going to be?
We
Good
don't know
question.
yet.
Good question.
The first time is,
Well, I will do this. I will approach the contractor with we may approve this in May, we may approve this in June, and see what happens. So we'll give you all the policy.
Okay.
All right. mid-May, second week in May?
Second week in May.
Talk
that
about
good?
it, or postpone it again then?
Second.
No, you,
Oh.
Second.
Motion, I'm sorry.
We got the motion by Jeff and a second by
forgot.
Owen to postpone to the second week of May.
Make up your own rules out there, don't you, Jeff?
We can just do a voice vote. Those in favor to postpone to the second week of May?
Aye.
Aye, yes?
Those against? All right, we are postponing the tennis courts till the second week of May. Moving on to item 12, we got a motion to discuss and approve the resolution 2024-09, a resolution for improvement under the Illinois Highway Code.
Move to discuss resolution 2024-10.
I was gonna say,
Oh, 9, sorry. I was looking at the wrong line.
Second.
I think Owen touched on something. Wasn't the ordinance over here 2024-9? And then we got 2024-9 again here?
Oh, I did that completely by mistake if I did. No, no, this is ordinance.
Oh.
A resolution.
Ordinance and resolution.
No,
Oh, okay, sorry. All right. So Owen made a motion for resolution 2024-09. Was there a second?
Yep.
Second by Dan. Okay. For improvement under the Illinois Highway Code. Was this, and Chris?
Yeah, it's quick. So essentially, what we have to do with more fuel tax dollars, any more fuel tax dollars that we spend, is we have to tell IDOT how we're gonna spend them, and that's a process that has a few steps. The first thing that we do is, for lack of a better word, we appropriate enough dollars in IDOT's funds. That's what this document does. It basically says, we're gonna take $300,000 worth of our current LFT money, we're gonna plug it into uses over the time period between, January 1st and December 31st. That's all we're telling IDOT right now. The second thing that we have to do as part of the maintenance packet is we provide an estimate cost to the department to show how, we're spending the MFT dollars, and then any other dollars that are in our road program as well that accompany the MFT dollars. So in the village's case, we typically take our road and bridge funds, we plug that into the road projects as well, try to spend all the road and bridge funds first, and then dive into the MFT. So we show IDOT that, and then at the end of the year, after everything is all done and we actually know what everything costs, we submit what's called a municipal expenditure statement. That shows the exact dollars that we spent. And then that's what IDOT uses to figure out how much money is actually sitting in your next, for your next fiscal year, available for your next fiscal year. So this is the first step of a multi-step process.
Really is.
All right. And the resolution, okay, can you click to the resolution there, please?
oh, no, that's wrong.
Oh, number 12. That's all right. There we go, this one. That's all right. Oh, okay. All right. Any further questions on that? Barring any further questions, roll call.
Austin Davies.
Yes.
Owen Costanza.
Yes.
Jeff Goings.
Yes.
Dan Cheek.
Yes.
Betsy Straw. Yes.
Resolution 2024-09 passes. Moving on to item 13, do we have a motion to discuss and approve resolution 2024-10, a resolution of the Village of Poplar Grove to authorize public bid letting for the 2024 pavement maintenance program.
So moved.
A motion by Jeff,
Second.
and it was a tie.
Pick one.
And we-
Rock, paper, scissors?
Betsy, Betsy seconded.
Oh, Betsy.
No, Owen did.
We'll say Owen seconded it. All right. And so we're going out to bid for some pavement maintenance programs, Chris?
Yeah, so I recapped the maintenance program in the memorandum. It's basically the same memo that you, the same program that you've seen here since January. Plans are
do the packets just to put this at least in. So we'll put everything in on Friday and then re-release it to put at least just this in.
So this been, a lot of times we have some time that goes by from the time that we start talking about the program to the time we actually bid it, so it's just kind of a, hey, we're getting ready to bid, we're gonna be in construction soon, kind of a reminder to everybody. And then secondly, we do a pre-bid meeting with contractors. And one of the things that I like to say is, hey, the board of trustees has seen the program, they're on board, they've authorized bid letting, at least the contractors, the ones with the feeling that if they put together a good number, that is going to award the bid. So it lets them know that you guys, the board, are involved in the process.
All right. Any further discussion, questions? All right, roll call.
Betsy Straw, Jeff Goings.
Yes.
Dan Cheek,
Yes.
Owen Costanza.
Yes.
Austin Davies.
Resolution 2024-10 passes. Moving on to item number 14, we got a motion to discuss potential open meeting act violation regarding meeting minutes and potential amendments to Village Code Section 1-6A-1 regarding duties of the village clerk.
That's so moved.
We got a motion by Austin,
Second.
second by Betsy. And, Austin, would you like to,
Yes.
go on that?
Thank you, Don. There have been a number of violations of the Open Meetings Act involving minutes being created, voted on, and published on our website in pursuant to the requirements of the Open Meetings Act. And so I wanted to discuss possibly amending the village code for the duties of the village clerk to require her to comply with the requirements of the Open Meetings Act and perhaps work in some kind of penalties for non-compliance. Right now, there's nothing in our ordinances that I'm aware of that requires meetings to be published in compliance with OMA, which would be having them up for approval within 30 days of the meeting or within the time frame of the second regular meeting from when that meeting took place. When this issue's been raised in the past, the village clerk kind of has deflected, said she needs to feed her family, complained about not getting a raise, and really admitted to not really being in the office or having any office hours since that time, sometime when she wasn't given that raise last year. So I think something needs to be done to make sure that we're staying in compliance with the Open Meetings Act. It took a review of the Public Access Counselor with the Attorney General's office to get a lot of the minutes actually drafted and approved at the last meeting, which is still under review. And so I wanted to bring that to the board's attention and propose that perhaps we need to amend that ordinance to include some kind of provisions to ensure that we're complying with the Open Meetings Act.
What's your,
Well, if I can, Jeff.
yeah, go ahead.
Yes, go ahead.
Did you hear back from the Public Access Board? You said that we were violating the Open Meetings Act. I mean, is that your opinion, or that's a fact from some oversight?
I'm not here to have a conversation with you,
I'm asking a question.
Mr. Costanza.
Oh,
You
I'm
can make
asking
a
a question.
statement if you have the floor, but I'm not gonna,
Okay, then. So I will make the statement that as far as I know, there's been no determination from your complaints filed with Public Access Board that has been violated, so I would say that would be your opinion of that. Fining a clerk, I've not heard of that.
Punishing a clerk?
Well, I don't know, were you done?
I'm done.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's been a while since I've submitted any complaints, but I have complained in the past about the bias in the writing and that, and I basically kind of went silent for the last year or so on any of that. I submitted a sample for the one meeting for, I believe it was our salary discussion for that hour-long meeting that we had, based on a request by Jeff Goings, a sample of minutes for that, which was short and concise and without bias. And I see that it was published without that. It was ignored. And so I'm just
Well, I would disagree that the summary that you wrote was your opinion, as any one of us would write it in our opinion, which is why a summary of what happened and occurred for the public to take their own opinion.
All right. It's exactly what I was told the last time, that, you know, even though OMA requires a particular, I guess, detail into it, it's up for interpretation and, you know, it can be whatever.
I've heard it both ways over the last 10 years.
All right.
Betsy,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, Betsy.
So, one of the things, Austin, I'm trying to understand is we don't have anything in the ordinance that says that it has to be within 30 days to follow OMA. Is that what I heard you say?
That's my understanding from reviewing the ordinances. We don't have anything that mirrors the Open Meetings Act. I don't think it's required, but in order to give us some teeth locally to enforce what the Open Meeting Act requires, I think it'd be better to have our ordinance specify the duties of our village clerk and any consequences if those are not followed.
Okay,
So even if we put in that we wanna follow OMA and everyone's upset about consequences, if we still put that in the ordinance that said, you know, that this is what we wanna follow, because it's not in there, does OMA give a regulation for if OMA's not filed? Or
If O-
followed, not filed, followed.
So I suppose maybe we wouldn't even need a local ordinance mirroring OMA because it already applies to our
Right.
community. So perhaps just some kind of penalty or consequence in our ordinance if the Open Meetings Act is violated in certain ways. The Open Meetings Act provides for penalties, misdemeanor, criminal offense, if the state's attorney is willing to prosecute it. Here.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I didn't know that.
Aaron, is it our duty to enforce those rules?
It's not the village's ability to enforce OMA. The state's attorney enforces OMA.
So therefore, could we
There.
fine if it's our opinion that we're in violation of OMA? Or
You wouldn't, not for violating state statute. I mean, that's not your purview.
Okay.
To fine under the Open Meetings Act. You know, your ability is to handle things that are under ordinance.
Yes, Austin.
So, Attorney Zito, would it be necessary and possible to adopt an ordinance incorporating some of the requirements in the Open Meetings Act as the duties of the village clerk for Poplar Grove, and then state in that ordinance that if there's non-compliance with those duties, that something like the general $500 fine we have in place in our ordinance for other things could perhaps apply to non-compliance with those duties?
You can certainly write the duties in. I don't know about the fine part. I've never seen that. I've never looked into it. I've never been asked to look into that aspect in another community. I certainly think you can write the requirements in as a duty to say, and you will follow OMA, you know, or, you know, have minutes prepared in X amount of days, which could mirror that. I think you can do that. Certainly, the fine part I'd have to look into there. I think the question that already triggers it in my head, though, then, is just like with any fine for anyone who, let's say, violates garbage, debris, whatever, right? You still gotta give them due process. So you still gotta go through, it's not just because the board says, I think there's a fine, you violated, then, hey, $50, you know, or whatever. There's still, I would imagine there would have to be a process established to give due process to before a fine is imposed, just like with any other, you know, fine that we impose on any other resident, or, you know, garbage, debris, whatever, you know. So that, it's something that we'd have to work through. We'll figure it out.
So if I interpret you right, all that would be defined by the board then?
The due process, that, and then if there were, you know, certain laws that governing due process that guide us in that, yeah.
Yes, Dan.
As far as the penalties go, I mean, you keep saying duties, and I get that aspect, but the part I don't think you're including in this is the clerk is also an elected official, just like everybody up here, barring yourself. The people put her up here. So to implement penalties, we'd have to implement penalties for everybody. As soon as we were all put up here by the same people, the residents, we're all elected officials, that means if we screw up, then we're susceptible to penalties ourselves. We can't implement penalties on one elected official and not the others. That itself is bias, in my eyes.
Mayor,
Yes.
sorry, you brought up a point that I forgot to mention, that I would probably concur with the fact that if there was gonna be a penalty provision, that it would apply to elected officials, any elected official or appointed official, there, just to keep things uniform. I think that would probably keep us the safest as far as not being, alleged to have disparately treated, similarly situated groups, meaning, example, all elected officials.
Yes, Betsy.
So barring the fine, taking that off, do we still feel that we should have something in our ordinance that says that we should have these items done in the timely manner that we're supposed to?
Is that not listed? Go ahead.
Go ahead, Don, finish.
I was just gonna ask, is that not listed in our already duties of the village clerk?
It's not.
I didn't-
I mean, it's not explicitly listed that you have to follow OMA, but obviously it's a state statute
Right.
that's there, so
Which supersedes.
it would fill in nonetheless. I mean, there's a lot of state statutes out there that, that govern how municipalities operate. They might not be specifically incorporated explicitly into our code, but it doesn't mean that we don't have to still follow them
Right.
as municipalities.
Yes, Jeff.
I was just gonna make a recommendation that we let Carrie get caught up and move forward, and then if we wanted to bring her performance up on minutes not being on time, we could bring her back up and discuss with her once again. She was going through some tough times, and I think it's only fair that we allow her the chance to keep up on them and move forward. I think that's the civil thing to do, instead of trying to impose penalties and fines, and that just sounds ridiculous. Just my opinion.
I would like to make a personal request that the clerk make an attempt to write things in a as least biased way as possible, and in a reasonable, concise way that includes all the information that took place. And I understand there's some disagreement about that. And what I've endured over the past 3 years is an atrocity. And I'm asking a personal request to do your best.
So, Don, I mean, we talked about this at the last meeting,
Yes,
which the non-biased answer is ordinance 2024-09 was taken, and Owen voted yes, and Betsy voted no, and Austin voted yes, and let the people go watch the videos or listen to the minutes and make their own decision. That's about as non-biased as we can get.
would you like to comment on that, Austin? I believe that's written into,
Well, there has to be a summary of the discussion. It can't just be merely what was voted on and the results of the vote. Open Meetings Act requires a summary of the discussion that was had. That's where there's some debate what a summary is, but just using your common sense, it's more than just the vote and the result.
It sounds great to me.
Well, and we've heard it both ways over the last 10 years, but most recently in the last recent years from Nancy Sylvester and even from the attorneys of the last meeting, until we hear from the Public Access Board. I mean, you filed it, I certainly will adhere to whatever they say, but
yes.
Could I ask the question of the village clerk if she believes there has to be a summary of discussion in her minutes, or if she can just merely include what was voted on and the result of that, even if there was discussion? Can she leave out the summary of that discussion?
From what we have been told, Ansel Glink does all our training in the clerk world, and there's some other state level that also does, but we have always been told less is more. Trustees discussed ordinance 2024-09, staff recommended, approval, and that is it. So I have been with municipalities that want a lot, and it takes days to do minutes, and I've been with municipalities that want a combo of that, and I've been with a municipality that wants none of that. They just want, it's a personal opinion, a personal choice of the board. In the past, this board has always said less is more. If that's changed, you need to let the clerk's office know. That's not fair to Katie or I to all of a sudden do an about face, when this is how we've done it for 7 years.
Well, at the last meeting, when we approved a lot of the minutes you had presented, there was discussion and debate over whether some things were discussed, and there was no summary whatsoever of the discussion. And you, as far as I recall, defended that, and I don't know if it was you or someone else. I know Mr. Costanza tonight said the public can go back and look at the video instead of there being a summary in the minutes. Would you defend there being no summary at all when there has been some discussion? And would you also refer the public back to watch the video?
I have put in minutes, not so much board minutes, but in planning and zoning minutes when there's been, 45-minute presentations. Presentation is available via the clerk's office, because it's a lot, and they just need to be a short and sweet. So if this board wants the clerk's office to change, we will do it. We do not have a vote. You vote on these minutes. What do you want? I asked that last meeting, I'm asking this meeting. If you want them transcribed, we will pay for someone to transcribe them.
I don't think anybody was asking for it to be transcribed, and I provided an example.
Why don't we just do this? Let's just do a minimum, is a recommendation, my opinion. A minimum of 50 words on the discussion, minimum.
Jeff, still, that's not going to, that's
Sometimes
Some
we'll
don't
say
require.
50 words.
Yeah.
When required, how's that?
Or that there's a summary.
Minimum 50-word summary when
I mean,
required.
not pick and choose
But then
what
who's
you
gonna-
put the summary on, that there's a summary on everything. If no discussion was had and we just voted on it, or Greg, made the proposal, and then we voted on it, do it that way, but some summary.
I need to, I'm sorry for interrupting.
No, you're
Marty.
fine.
I need to make a comment on how the public comment has been handled, and I think that's where I've put some complaints to the attorney's office. Yeah, and how when some people come in and they talk about public comment, I myself, nothing gets published in the public comment. And then when somebody comes and says something negative, particularly against me, then the clerk takes it upon herself to make sure it's verbatim in the public comment criticizing me. And so that's the bias that I have personal experience with, that I'm not, and I provided my example per Jeff Going's request last time. And I even quoted in my email that this is my attempt to not be biased at all, and I kept it short. There was about 5 sentences, and that's all I'm asking. And I can't make anybody do what they don't want. So, I
Well-
guess I'm repeating myself now. Yes, Aaron.
So, just, I guess, examples of just what I've seen in other communities, and it ranges. It absolutely ranges on the level of detail that any particular clerk puts into the minutes there. But the backstop to that is the fact that the board ultimately is the one that gets to approve the minutes. And so in my other communities, at the end of the day, if there is something that the clerk either included or, that a trustee or older person doesn't want included, or left out, and the trustee or alderman wants it added in, that's why you guys approve these, and that's why I have communities that will say, okay, motion to approve agenda, second, discussion, motion to amend the minutes to reflect that, to clarify that, I didn't say this, I said that, and then they vote on it, and if it's voted on if it's approved to change it, then it gets changed, because at the end of the day, it's still your guys' minutes to approve, and that way the clerk isn't put in a position to have to guess, well, how much detail, how little detail, should this statement be put in, should that statement not be put in? You guys have final say as to whether or not it should go in or not, there. So that's just how I see it in my other communities. But, again, there's no magic rule as to how detailed they have to be. It's up to each clerk and then each community through amendments to the minutes to end up at, how detailed or not detailed they are.
Dan's going to say
Yes, Dan?
Well, anyway, what was the training you said, the name of the training?
Middle School Clerk Institute and Academy. You send us, Katie and I, there for 3 years, and then there's an academy afterwards, and Martha's been there, she can attest. They say less.
Well, that's what I'm kind of, the only one up here that's been to that is you. The only one up here that's been to any seminars for this stuff is you. The only one that's probably been to an IML Clerks Roundtable up here is you.
I've ran them.
Yeah.
You posted.
Seminars is you, based on this. If this is the guidance that you're given from, the people who wrote the book on this, and like Aaron had just touched on, if you don't like them, vote them down or amend them. Just to split hairs and just because you don't agree with the way the clerk is writing them, and then that's why we got the approval process. If you don't like it, don't approve it. That's the great thing about this, is we all have individual votes. We can sit there and beat our heads against the wall, or just when it comes up, if you don't agree with it, don't vote with it. That's how this works. Majority rules.
Any other discussion?
yes.
Yes, Owen?
So I'd like to just read this first part of item 14 that we're talking about. Motion to discuss potential Open Meetings Act violations regarding the minute meetings. And Trustee Davies started that out by saying that we did violate those Open Meetings Acts, or I should say the clerk did. So we've in the past been behind on things, codifying things, and we as a board have come together and helped. Never have I seen an all-out attack on a clerk's office, including an email which Trustee Davis sent to our clerk's office calling her a parasite and asking for her resignation because she wasn't putting enough office hours in here. The clerk's office is an elected office. It is very, very part-time. It pays $15,000 a year. It has expanded in its duties far from what Martha's duties were, with the FOIA requests and the code enforcement and the building permits and codifying everything. So rather than trying to beat a baby seal with a club, we should be here offering to help in some way, shape, or form.
Exactly.
I submitted my offer to help.
Wait a minute, hold on.
But
Mr.
at the
President.
bottom line of the day is, just like everybody else has said, we vote on those. We make a motion to amend the minutes when we vote on them, and we all vote on them.
All right. Anything else?
Yes.
You slipped one in on this subject matter here? All right.
Can you use, his mic is working the best. Sorry.
I have a question. Can we try something real quick?
Sure.
Can we turn off, everybody's hit the red button for a minute, let him speak once, and see if that makes a difference with these mics? We were curious.
I'm wondering if those mics aren't wired into the system. I don't know.
They
They
are.
are.
I think what is happening, like the old system where we have too many mics on at once, and so
Sure.
it's drowning out the portables.
So everybody hit your red button on the left side on your mic. real quick. That part, make sure it's not on. Thank you.
it may
Bill
sound,
knows something.
but it may sound different on the other end.
Yeah,
I'm-
speak up and speak into it.
I'm not an AV guy anymore.
This is kind of like deja vu. We visited this last week, and I spoke for a few minutes. So now, I'm gonna try to be the voice of reason. If you start taking bits and pieces out of the conversation, and you put them together in a short string, it's a summation. And if the person that is putting that together is not involved in that conversation, it tends to become biased, or it could tend to lead to public opinion. I've seen a lot of entities that will state what the motion is, will give some brief background on the motion, will give some very, very generic discussion in the minutes, but the very, very generic information regarding the discussion and the recommendations. Now, if everybody would really like for the public to hear or to see what that motion item is that's listed on the agenda. We're not in the 18th century anymore. Put a hyperlink on that agenda that will take them directly to the audio recording and let them listen to it in its entirety, or let them select the pieces they choose to listen to, so that you do not create public opinion. If I want to know what the conversation was, I'll go back and listen to the audio. If I really want to know what the conversation is, I'll be here present. If I have an issue with the conversation, I'm standing in public. This is what the public does. This is not a political meeting. You guys are here to do a job. You're not here to be politicians. You're here to do a job. Let's not create public opinion. And let's not start creating summaries that are going to favor or cast shadows on other individuals that you're working with. You're all elected officials. You have to work together. And it's disheartening when you see people that don't want to work together. This has brought some embarrassment. And I thought things had settled down, and we weren't gonna see a whole lot more. I'm saying, describe the motion. Put down its recommendations. Put a hyperlink in that PDF document. Any web browser will open up that hyperlink and take you straight to the audio recording of the meeting. Let the public decide what it is they need to hear without creating public narrative through the summation, especially from somebody who is not part of the conversation. If I was to go home and sit down and make a summary of this meeting tonight, he might not like what I say, because I didn't include him in my summation. Or Trustee Davies might not like what I had to say, because I didn't give him any consideration in my summation. Like I said last week, to make it weighted and fair, you'd have to publish every single word verbatim, or you have to find another answer. You guys gotta find a middle ground somewhere. Because arguing about it's not gonna work. State statute is state statute. Whether you have an ordinance or not, you have to follow state statute. You can't just say, well, because we don't have an ordinance, we're gonna ignore it. The state says 30 days or the next meeting, you follow 30 days or the next meeting. You make that a practice. You guys are not an island. You're not home rule. You don't get to make up your own little environment that you get to live in. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Can I say something real quick, Mr. President?
Yes, please.
I just asked Carrie to check into that, about doing that hyperlink that Dave mentioned. She can do it.
We can do it, we just have to turn it on, we've had it turned off since Municode. We've had Municode, we can have Municode turn it on, so then the YouTube, the day after the meeting is linked right there.
How's that for service? I said, how's that for service? And make sure you check it. Make sure it works. And if not, you call Carrie.
I can do that. I have to link to the audio recording.
She can do it. She can do it.
It goes wonderful, wonderful to the public because there's many finance here that conversation.
I learned something new tonight. Thank you.
All right, moving on. That was just a motion to discuss. So moving on, item number 15, we got a motion to discuss treasurer duties and compliance with statute, including treasurer reports and compliance with 65 ILCS 5/3.1-35-45.
So moved.
And a motion by Austin, and a second by Betsy. And Austin, would you want to open this?
Well, this was already discussed a little bit with the village attorney at the last meeting. And I'd like to ask the village attorney if, well, I don't think anything was new because our treasurer has been out on vacation. So last he spoke, the requirements of the monthly treasurer's report weren't quite all being complied with. And so I think we already discussed it, and I just want perhaps the attorney can talk to the treasurer further when she's back from vacation to try to ensure that we're getting the required treasurer's report with all the information in it every month.
I can do that.
That's all I've been.
Can you maybe summarize the memo you sent us earlier today? So, I mean,
Yeah.
we didn't publish that, it wasn't part of the packet, 'cause
Nope.
you just sent it to us.
Yep, it was just to the board there, so, state statute governs what the treasurer's report is supposed to have, in it, and so, in summary, it's supposed to show the state of the treasury, at the date of the account, and, the balance of money in the treasury. It's supposed to include then the statement of all monies received into the treasury and on what account, together then with all warrants redeemed and paid by the treasurer, and then this monthly report is supposed to be provided, under oath, is what the state statute says. I believe, in my non-accounting finance review or background, that I think everything that is currently in the packet or in the treasurer's report, as far as like the checks that were paid out, is there. That's all, paid by the treasurer. Showing the state of the treasury as of the date of the account, I think that's in the balance sheets there that kind of show what's there. I think what's not
Revenue.
explicitly is the revenue and like the money, MFT money, water sewer, people paying their bill money, coming in and showing that water revenue, water sewer checks went into the water sewer line item there. And I think Karina has said that that's a report that she can run and that she will start including that in. The under oath part, that is, I think, an easy fix in the sense that, whatever the report is, I think we just add a block to it. And all honestly, though, it is, no question about it, it's a requirement that's in the statute.
She just signs off on it?
It's yeah, basically it's same, it says it's supposed to be under oath, so that, basically that, to the best of her knowledge, this is true and accurate. These are true and accurate numbers, something to that effect, there. I don't have any community that does it. I'm not saying that they're doing it right then, because but I think it's probably more oversight than anything in historic that never done it before, so didn't know too. I think to add it to the, where at the bottom of the front page, and then she signs it, would probably be, would meet that requirement, go forward.
So the one report that's missing would be this, geo activity report. This is all incoming monies.
Yeah, if that's on a
This
month,
is-
for
yeah.
the
It's
month,
a revenue one.
This is-
Usually GL would show both sides.
Oh, there's a bunch of pages to it. Did you get this, Betsy?
No.
You didn't see this? This says about interest. Cash in the bank, money markets,
Yeah, the reports used to show income,
yes.
percentage of where we are to date to budget.
This is showing credits and debits, so this is your full GL, and she's got expenses, and so if she could summarize the revenue piece of it,
Okay, flip to it.
That would
Another
be-
back page with any totals, cash in bank.
right, but cash and,
shouldn't show income.
So,
It's an income statement.
It's not, yeah,
no, I just wanna make sure.
no, this is.
She did mention to me that there is a report that she can generate that
Yeah.
says,
So you're gonna
shows
take
money,
her-
money in, and then I guess the part I don't know is where it's posted to, there, but she said there's she thinks there's a report that she can generate to show money in each month, like what came in that
That would
month.
tie to the changes in the balance sheet, yeah.
Yeah, okay, great.
I can talk.
I was just curious, if the ordinance or the municipal law that was written on this, was this written prior to the days of everybody using credit cards?
Oh, I have no clue. I'd have to check to see, you're asking like when the state statute was written?
Yeah.
I'd have to look, I don't know off the top of my head.
The only reason I ask that is because the language in here, I don't have it specifically here. It talks about all warrants.
Just the use of the word warrant?
Yeah, yeah. The treasurer shall accompany, or shall accompany the account with a statement of all money received into the treasury and on what account, together with all warrants redeemed and paid by the treasurer. Warrants would be a term for checks, credit cards,
Billing.
Bills, basically.
bills.
Really
Yeah,
bills.
bills, just bills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so in today's world, when you have billing methods with this credit account and that credit account, it gets convoluted.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like an old term to me, hang on one, well, you guys can keep
Yeah.
moving out.
That's
See if I
okay.
remember.
I don't mean to bog down the discussion, and we've already talked about putting the credit card statements into the packet, so. Unless somebody else has any, yes.
I have one more thing to kind of go off of, Erin's gonna talk to her about that, but, I had made a suggestion to be able to go back and have the sheet that says, here's what we voted on last month, and here's the estimates, and then here's the actuals. And want to meet with her. Is everyone okay with that? And does anyone have any questions about that? Because it'd be nice to know what the difference is between the estimates and then what actually is, so we can decide if it's bigger than a bread box and we need to vote on it,
Yeah. Makes sense.
She provided me. Go ahead and
But
continue.
it's in a format,
It
like
was-
I,
yeah,
like
it-
I showed you, it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Where, and then we asked for some details of the, estimates and actuals. So if everybody's okay, I'll meet with her on that and kinda, and you, Jeff, as well, and talk
Encouraging
about
you
how we
to.
can get that, done every month.
And something you can just have included in the report.
Yeah,
Yes.
The following month, I should mean.
yeah, so we
Well,
can see
that's what
what,
she gave me here on this sheet that I showed you. It was AP, the EFTs, and health. This was the actuals that she gave me.
okay,
So I'm just gonna make sure that it's in there and
So-
then have her mark it up the way. Once you meet with her and tell her what you'd like to see and how you like to see it, it's gonna change everything, I'm telling you.
what I see from the actual to what we voted on was, I think we voted on 677,051.84, and what I saw from the actuals was the 713,505.52. That did include payroll, and payroll was not in the numbers in March. And so going forward, she's started to include payroll, which is helpful, so then we can look at it as a total picture.
Okay, that makes sense.
All right. It's not that old. Probably originally written in 1950. Modified. All right,
Yeah, this is contemporary.
all right. Any other discussion? Moving on then. Moving on to item number 6, we have a motion to discuss or approve the annual Lauterbach and Amen audit engagement agreement.
Move to discuss approve the annual Lauterbach and Amen audit engagement agreement.
Motion by Owen,
Second.
and second by Dan. And so, I believe, I don't know if that was Jeff that asked for that to be put in there?
Yes, I was wondering, you said that you were gonna sign the annual agreement because you had questions of the agreement. I was wondering if you are going to give us an update, if that was all taken care of, where we can get this going, because by a certain time in November, I believe it was, how it was explained to me, that we will lose our ability to input our,
Change of fiscal years
Yeah.
in the system.
it will lapse and we won't be able to keep track of it. And pay, yeah, we won't be able to pay anything, and also we're jeopardizing grants that we received. We would have to pay those back or to something. Aaron, is there anything you could add to this, how important it is that we get this going, or?
I guess what I'll say is just what are the, timelines for the audit, so, right, so within 180 days of the close of our fiscal years, you're supposed to have your annual audit done, and then I believe you can ask for a 60-day extension with the, state of Illinois to get that filed, so, you get 8 months instead of 6 months, to get it filed, there, if you ask for the extension, but then that's it. You only get the one extension there, and I'm aware that if you blow by that, then there's a possibility that the state has the right, I believe, then to bring an auditor in to do your audit for you, and then you have to pay for it, and it might not be the cheapest audit. Karina did mention to me that there probably are grants, loans, whatever, that have loan requirements or grant covenants that say that every year you have to provide them with, a copy of your annual audit. She made that as a broad comment. I don't know if the specific, like if our specific grants, if she was like meaning like our specific grants or loans that we have those covenants. I don't know off the top of my head if they do, there, but she did mention that same comment to me there, so.
So what I like to ask Mr. Seller, why, can you tell us why you're not gonna sign it or participate in it, or?
Because it's pending forensics audit.
Hold on.
And so I have 4 proposals in hand. I'm waiting on a 5th one to come in. And if you guys want to expedite the process, I can present the 4 that I have, and you can change the process instead of looking at all 5 bidders.
Hold on. The annual audit's separate from what you wanna achieve with a forensic audit, correct?
Lauterbach and Amen has expressed to us that they are not comfortable doing an audit until the forensics audit is done. And so, I've been working on getting quotes, because we got 0 quotes when it was managed by others. And so I went out and specifically asked multiple companies to do it. And one company actually came and asked to bid on it late, about a week ago. And so I told them, that May 1st was the
So, okay,
deadline.
I just wanna be clear, you're not gonna sign our annual audit because you want a forensic audit done. They said there's no forensic audit even approved by the board yet.
There's an RFP.
That was
It's
expired on
expired.
March 1st.
It's over, it's done with.
No, it's not. It's not over. You guys want to claim it's over because you didn't shop it around. You tried to hide from a forensics audit. You made
That's
every,
a lie.
you
Come on,
made
that's a
every
lie.
effort to not get a
That's
quote.
a lie,
We
that's a
got
lie. If you're gonna
zero-
talk, tell the truth.
We got 0 quotes until I took control of the process, and I went out and I specifically sent the RFP to multiple companies.
Mr. Sally, you've
And I
already
got
spent
4 proposals back.
$35,000 to $40,000 in labor for your
I have
forensic
not
audit.
spent any money. I have not spent a dime.
What do you call all the personnel labor in the office digging through the papers for the last 3 months,
I have
4
not
months?
spent a dime.
Okay, go ahead,
Show me
Don.
the check receipts of the money I've spent. I have been asking for an RFP that was approved by the village, and it was not shopped at all. We got 0 bids. When we want to get a bid, there are means and methodologies to get quotes and bids, and that was not followed, because you didn't want to get one.
Who said, why do you lie, sit here and lie?
Show me the bids you got. Show me the bids you got. I got 5. Show me the bids you got.
How did you obtain those?
You,
We put
you
an ad in
guys
the
took,
paper, we sent it out, we posted it.
show me where it was posted. I've asked, nobody has produced any. There's professional pages
It's on
and
our
places
website.
to post things that we do for this sort of
Couldn't pull
stuff.
it up.
And you did not do any of that. It didn't
pull it
even
up again.
appear on our webpage for the first couple of weeks,
Aaron,
until
can-
I noticed it and I asked it to be fixed.
Aaron, you gave us an update on the bids. Your office gave us an update on where the bids were.
This is a
So, okay,
I'm able to get 5 bids, and you guys got 0.
It's not us, guys. We don't do the bidding.
Exactly.
We approve the process as per our ordinance.
Okay, so who did it? Was that your office that took responsibility for that, Aaron?
no, so
So who did?
ultimately, so to go back with the process, right? You guys authorized bids to go out. An RFP was created, it was put out. My office wasn't the one that put it out there. I don't know who put it out as far as like who was in charge of putting it up on a website or sending. Typically does not include making individual phone calls, because you wait, you put the bid out, the people that want to submit a response, submit a response there. In that, before they submit a response, to the extent anyone has questions or anything like that, they can pose questions. If there are answers, they're sent to all the people that had exploded in interest. That part did happen there. So there were inquiries about the RFP. They were, responses were provided to both people, both entities that asked, had questions about the RFP. Ultimately, neither of those 2 companies submitted a bid or a response by the deadline. If I can backtrack before I forget, about the comment about Lauterbach and Amen not, they're not willing, as the mayor indicated, they're not willing to move forward with an annual audit, though, until the issue of a forensic audit is resolved one way or the other. Either, if you're going to do the audit, then until the forensic audit is done, or if you guys decide not to do a forensic audit, then they'll start moving forward with the regular audit there. So they just won't do it while it's up in limbo, and they won't do it if you guys go the route of a forensic. Then they won't do it until it's done.
How is it in limbo? Don's holding the audit hostage. He just lied 3 times. You just corrected him on 3 lies. He said we had no bids. He said he wasn't posted. It was posted. You just lied 3 times, Don. You're
Well,
holding our
Jeff,
audit. I know, but I'm just saying.
Jeff,
you're
to
holding
clarify, I didn't say that we received 3 bids.
2, I'm sorry.
No, no, I said we had
Inquiries,
2 inquiries that
inquiries.
did not result in responses.
And they did not want to proceed after they got their questions asked.
We did receive a bid after the date.
Yes. And Katie
So
sent
if
that
it
out.
came in after, it would have been non-responsive because it came in after the
That
deadline.
came in after the date.
And Katie sent that out to all of us.
So Don, in one of the emails you had sent me, you said you disagreed with the wording of the engagement letter. Do you recall what
That was
you've
my
signed?
question.
You've signed the engagement letter of this for the last 3 years. I don't know that it changed. Did it change, or is there something specific in it that you didn't like?
What has changed is the forensics audit.
No, you said you didn't agree with the wording of the engagement letter in one of the emails you had sent to Jen that you sent to me.
I don't know what you're referring to.
Okay. So last year,
It has to do with the forensics audit.
so last year, I saw an email that you had sent to Jen where you specifically said the board approved a forensic audit and you asked for their recommendations to get one done, and the board hadn't even discussed it at that point.
I don't recall anything like that. How come you haven't produced the letter that you got that I said those things in writing?
Is that a letter? It's an email? I have
I-
it. I'd be happy to send it to you.
How come you haven't yet?
Yes, I thought I'd ask you about it.
So I can reform, Mr. President.
It's called material facts, Mr. Costanza. And so right now, it's out for bid.
what's
And-
out for bid. We need to do the annual audit. That's what I'm trying to understand, why you're not signing.
Lauterbach and Amen is not going to
I know.
do that until the forensic audit is issued. And you guys got 0 bids.
Aaron-
I've got 4 waiting on a 5th.
Could you
and
please
you've already
review
got
our,
one.
our bidding process for us, how that happens?
I don't think there's any need to know. The results were 0.
Aaron,
Yep.
Don't waste your,
I have a question.
yes. Go ahead.
I said, Mr. Zito, Don went out and got these bids. What's the process for that?
Hang on, I'm bringing up our code, but off the top of my head, there, you know, my understanding of our code is that, you know, if there are certain contracts, if they're gonna be over a certain dollar amount of the state threshold, then we are required to publicly bid them. Meaning that you create bid specs, you know, if it's a public works project or whatever it is, bid specs, an RFP, you know, for services, whatever it is, you have that created, the board authorizes going out to bid, you create the specs there, you publish them wherever you choose, the board decides to publish them. In road situations, Chris, you're publishing it in a newspaper or whatever, you're publishing it on the website, whatever the village decides, I guess, whatever's custom and practice there. Hang on one sec, Chris. The bid specs will then include in there, you know, hey, you gotta submit by this date, you gotta include X, Y, Z information, blah, 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 whatever it is, you know, your references, you know, what's your rate, all that sort of stuff. And then you turn it in, and typically then it's required to be sealed, you know, sealed envelope by the date that the deadline is, and then there's typically then, after the deadline goes by, then there's typically a bid opening, you open them up, and if it's a construction project, then usually you're going with typically the lowest responsible bidder. If it's, you know, RFP for services, the board's gonna review those RFPs and figure out who's the most responsive respondent.
What if you don't get any, though?
And if you don't get any, then typically in communities, then you decide, all right, what do we wanna do? Do you, you know, because you didn't get any, then do you still wanna move forward with that particular project or whatever? You know, so it's up to you guys, and at that point, to have that conversation about what do we do?
Because
Chris?
sometimes David goes out and gets bids for things that, you know, when we bypass that. And
So
brings those to us and says they have, you know,
So there, we have our ordinance does set, you know, for different threshold dollar amounts. You know, so if you're,
It's up on the screen.
oh, thank you, sorry, and I won't, Jesus, I can't read.
It's under, I typically am under 20,000.
25,000.
25,000?
Yep.
Right, so between X dollar and X dollar, you know, we can just go get quotes. The department heads are authorized to do certain things between another range of dollars, then they gotta go get quotes, you know, so you can call up and try to get quotes from people. But then once you hit that certain state threshold, then you gotta go, that's the formal bid process, the sealed bid process, there.
What's that dollar amount?
So,
but if the sealed bid process, so if it's, depending on what it ends up being, but if the sealed bid process fails you, is there a state statute that says what you can do after that?
not,
You still have to go with the sealed bid process, is that what you're saying?
it doesn't, yeah, because you're still at that threshold there, unless, but state statute does say that you can waive the state, the formal bid process by a 2/3 vote of the board to waive the formal bid process
Okay.
by state statute. Yeah, I'm sorry, Chris, you've been,
Here are the two things that I wanted to say. So there's times where, you know, we have an $80,000 piece of equipment to replace our wastewater plant. We're not gonna go out and bid that project because it's a certain piece of equipment. At that time, you would use the 2/3, you know, to award that work. And then Aaron also did something that's very distinctive, which is we bid, you know, public works types of projects for professional
have a caveat to that, in the sense that, so that QBS, system is definitely applicable to, it's architects, land surveyors, and engineers. They're not necessarily legal, accountants, other professionals. His group of people had a good lobbyist, and it's actual state statute that their professions have to go through a QBS system. So
So, can I ask one more thing?
Yes, go ahead.
So would your recommendation be then that the board should have this on as an item to put the RFP back out again and post it where the people that have quoted to Don can come back and do that? And we could maybe shorten the wording or fix the wording on the RFP, because I believe we know RFPs can be very tough to deal with.
So I think that if you guys want to follow your process, right, and there's nothing to say that just because you went out to one formal bid process that had a deadline, right, that you can't then reauthorize. You guys made the decision to go out to RFP the first time, go to RFP again, but it's your guys' decision to make. That's our process to say it's the board that authorizes the RFP to go out, the bid to go out there. And then you could say, hey, we're gonna waive, as a board, we're gonna waive the bid process, and we're gonna go choose to do informally a RFP process. We're just gonna solicit, RFPs, but you're still gonna have your parameters of, do you want sealed bids, sealed responses, et cetera.
It says right in there under the purchasing procedure that the village president may waive the public bid requirement when procuring certain professional services as outlined in state statute. So considering all the rigmarole that went on, and it was discussed, and I was told, well, then why don't you go out and get it yourself? And I believe that statement came from you. And so that is exactly what I've been doing. And since I've started doing that, I've now received nothing but criticism from Mr. Costanza, and now
I
you're
have not
filing.
criticized
You're not
you.
being criticized.
I asked you before if you wanted to
Wait,
re-up it.
Would you please refrain from your combative terms that you use there?
So read the,
All
but
right.
read the
It
rest of
it
the,
doesn't pay to.
read the rest of
doesn't pay
the
to talk.
ordinance, though. We have
I'm
to,
done.
as a board, vote on that.
I am getting quotes, and I'm getting bids, and if you guys choose not to act on it, that's your choice.
When can we expect to see these, just out of curiosity?
Whenever you want them.
They're invalid. We don't
When you said you're
know-
waiting on one, I
Whenever you
mean,
want.
how
No, they're
soon are you
not.
gonna?
They're valid.
We don't know
They're-
what he said to them.
Here's what I'm getting at.
The RFP.
Ladder back already
They bid
said-
on the RFP.
No.
They bid on the RFP that
Did they
you
bid on
guys
all the
approved.
documentation that you sent to me? You didn't send to the rest of the board, but
They
you guys should see
bid,
there's stuff that
they
you sent to
bid
Lauterbach.
on the RFP that you guys approved, Mr. Costanza.
Well, I thought we're not supposed to have any personal conversations back and
Neither
forth.
Well,
We're
that
supposed
keeps
to be
things
silent.
clean now, doesn't it? That's why there's sealed
That way
bids that
it's
go to
not
the clean.
tainted in any way, which is, sounds like it is now.
Tainted.
Which is fine.
Tainted.
But I'm saying,
Tainted.
is this right? Because we don't know what he spoke to these people.
Are you asking me a question, Jeff?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I've made my statement perfectly clear.
You say that we're trying to avoid this.
You are.
You did your own audit, you didn't find a gotcha, did you, Don? Okay, now I'm asking the attorney, if we do an RFP, will these companies be allowed to submit for those again? Not knowing what Don, you have a narrative. Can Aaron
You-
answer my question, please?
I can give you the bids at any time, and you have the authority to approve or disapprove it. It's that simple. The bids are there for you to choose to not approve if you so choose. If you don't want to have a forensic audit and you're afraid to have one, it's your choice, Mr. Costanza. And I get laughs from Mr. Costanza and Mr. Goings here. I don't think this is a laughing matter. I think this is a very serious matter. And I think facing the budgetary cycle that you just complained about, you're dragging this matter out, and you have an easy decision to make on the table. Look at the quotes and look at the RFP and make your own decision. It's all up to you.
When can we expect, okay, let's reword what I asked you earlier. When can we expect to see it on the agenda? Because like you said, Ladderback isn't gonna touch this until this is resolved.
No, Lauterbach's emails, which I have copies of, that Don didn't share with everybody else. They're not going to touch it till we decide if we're going to do one
We
or
can't decide
not.
until it's on
It
the
doesn't,
agenda.
it's not that we have to do a forensic audit and they won't do it. They're on contract with us to do this final year. I believe we did a 3-year with them, or whatever it was, 4 years. We did a contract with them to complete this. So it's not that they won't do it. They need us to decide whether we are going to do a forensic audit or not before they do that. Now, the question stands, do these other CPA firms or auditing firms, are they aware of what transpired here with our bidding process? I find it highly doubtful that any professional would get involved in this, knowing that the bid expired and we didn't re-up it.
But that's not what I'm getting at. I mean, like, so as far as the forensic goes, the forensics is not on the agenda. That's not getting voted on tonight.
No, he said May 1st.
So that's why I was
He
asking,
said
when's it gonna be on the
Don-
agenda so we can take item 16 and move forward with it?
Don
Because as of
Don
right now, we can't move
proclaimed-
forward with item
Don
16.
proclaimed May 1st, am I correct? You said the bids were open till May 1st, according to Don. That was what you had said. Don decided that date, that's what he said last week. He said the bids were open till May 1st,
So, Eric,
according,
can I have the floor, Mr. President?
Yes, you may.
Eric, can you answer my question? Are these bids gonna be any good that he went out and obtained? Were they usable, or are they not? I don't know.
That's for you guys to decide, if you want to accept them or not accept them. If you guys have concerns as to the process that was followed in which they were obtained, then you don't have to approve one.
But then if we don't approve him, he's gonna call us that we're hiding something, we're thieves, we're crooks.
I can't
we're
an- I
lying in our
can't- I can't
pockets.
answer
I know,
that.
but I'm just saying, this is what to be expected.
and there's the trick basket.
Exactly. This is his go-to, because he didn't find nothing with his own forensic audit, because there's nothing to be found, that he's gonna call us crooks, we're lying in our pockets, same crap for the last 3 years.
So the other question was, would they, if we did the RFP again, would those other places be able to bid that through the right process, and would that be okay?
I have no problem with that. That would be the proper way to follow procedures.
From a legal standpoint, I don't think they would be precluded, because you're going to issue an RFP, you guys are going to authorize the issuance of an RFP, you guys are going to create whatever the specs are, they would be able to respond to those specs there, and then submit per our process, submit a sealed response and open and reviewed and voted.
I just want to remind you, the village president may waive the public bid requirement when procuring certain professional services as outlined in state statute.
You're reading one sentence of the entire procedure, Don.
And
It's completely out of context.
Yeah, I think you can waive it, but then to say that we're not gonna do the formal bid process, but there still has to be authorized to go out
But
to bid, right? Just not using the sealed bid, but you still have to get authorized. The board still has to authorize saying, we're gonna go out we're gonna do this. We want to do a forensic audit, and therefore we need to go
Correct.
get people to respond, to give us quotes, bids, whatever you wanna call it. And if you then have the right to say, hey, I wanna waive the formal sealed bid process, that you can, but there still has to be an authorization from the board to say, do it.
correct, correct.
And those bids should flow through the office, not you. And if you're asking for that to happen and we do authorize it, I mean, that's fine, but I
And
think
you
it's
will-
inappropriate. I think it should come through the office. Because imagine if it took a road project to N-Track and said, Northern's quoting this, N-Track, I want you to quote that. We don't know what they're saying behind the scenes. That's why David's not involved in those. That's why they come in sealed, and Chris reviews them and opens them all at the same time. So Chris hasn't reviewed them prior. They're all opened all at the same time, so nobody knows anything.
That's transparency.
That
A
is how I
forensic,
define odd, Don.
a forensics audit is not a road project that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. Do you know what a phase one forensics audit would cost?
Well, I know the one quote that we got said $12,000 a year, 10 to 12 or 8 to 12, whatever it was. and you want 6 years done?
Do you know there's multiple ways to handle a forensics audit?
Beyond my pay grade, I don't do those.
Well,
But
There-
that wasn't in the spec sheet. The spec sheet that we provided and the one quote that we did get said, I think it was 8 or 9 to
Yeah.
12,000 was the top
Yeah,
end
you-
per year.
yeah,
10 to 12.5, okay.
yeah, you got the one that was mailed to you. You know how different companies handle this?
I don't know.
Some handle it in a multiple phase. Some of them want to come in, depending upon the time frame, and they'll charge you $5,000 for taking 3 months for a preliminary phase audit. Because they don't want to waste your time if there's nothing there.
I've only ever been involved in one
So-
forensic audit and it couldn't go forward because that entity, the books were in such disarray, they couldn't do it. That's the only time I'd ever been involved in one.
And so a preliminary audit could start out at $5,000, $10,000, $15,000.
Per year?
No,
Hold on,
Just
I have a
flat
question.
fee?
flat fee
I have
to
a
do a
question.
preliminary audit. And if they see no red flags, they're gonna come back and they're gonna tell you, we don't wanna waste your time or your money. But if there's red flags all over, then they're gonna come back and say, these are the red flags that we see and it requires further investigation, and then they'll provide an additional quote for you to investigate it deeper.
Now, I
There's
don't
all
want,
different levels of forensics auditing, and that's why you need to get different bids.
I don't want to put words in your mouth like you do to everyone else. I feel you're looking for someone to justify your interpretation of the ordinances. I don't know if a CPA firm would do that, but I don't know that if they would render a legal opinion. That I don't know. I've never been involved in an audit, a forensic audit at this level. So,
Mr. President, can you send us these bids that you said you have, so we can look through them? And then hopefully get on the next agenda and get this moving, because we need to get our annual audit done, so we're not penalized.
Yes, I can.
Why didn't you send them out prior, so we could look at, we could've hit on this meeting agenda?
Well, unfortunately, you've been spending all your time just criticizing me over it.
Don, I just
Not
criticized
working.
you tonight, I've never criticized you about it, stop lying. You don't tell the truth. I wanna go, that's fine, but I'm not gonna let him lie, saying I'm criticizing it. Tonight was the first time I've really said anything about it. Look what you put on social media, let's move on, please.
Thank you.
Well, so there was a motion and a second to discuss approve the water bond name and engagement agreement. Obviously, I don't think there's gonna be a resolution to that tonight.
I'm willing to
Let's take a
vote
vote.
I'm willing to approve the engagement letter. It's not changed.
Take a vote.
All right,
We're gonna need 4, so.
you wanna call the question?
Sure, I call the question.
Everybody done talking?
Yep.
All right, roll call.
Betsy Straw,
yes,
Jeff Goings,
Yes.
Dan Cheek,
Yes.
Owen Costanza,
Yes.
Austin Davies.
Yes.
So that's a yes to sign the agreement, right? That's a
Yes.
yes to
Yeah.
approve
That's to
the,
approve the
the
Yeah,
engagement agreement.
This was a vote to approve the
Lauterbach
agreement
engagement.
that I've refused to sign.
Yes.
So, all
Have
right.
someone else sign.
I don't have it.
Well, he hasn't vetoed it yet, so.
He will. He doesn't understand what's at stake, I don't think.
We have time and we can file extensions, so I will veto it. All right,
Motion to adjourn, I think that
for
we're
the
done.
good of the village, item number 17, Board of Trustees meeting May 8th, 2024 at 7 PM. Board of Trustees meeting May 15th at 7 PM. Planning and zoning meeting May 22nd at 6 PM, if needed, it says. May 27th, Village Hall is closed in observance of Memorial